These are my cards. Hello, my name is Christina Hoffman, and today I want to talk to you about a social issue as old as time, bullying. As society has grown and become more advanced, so has this tragic issue. Without knowing how bullying presents and its effects, we will not be able to recognize this issue in our own lives and in the lives of the people that we care about. Like many of you, I have encountered bullying in many ways throughout my young life. After having my own children, it became a passion of mine to understand how bullying is evolving and what I can do to protect my children from bully culture. First, I will discuss how bullying has evolved. Then I will inform you of modern forms of bullying. Finally, I will dive into causes and effects of bullying. Bullying that our parents are familiar with was not necessarily what we experienced, and it certainly won't be what our children experience. Older generations certainly were not immune to bullying, but it was less severe and consuming. Bullying used to be confined to child and adolescent social settings. Schoolyard bullying was easier to identify and intervene in. According to Professor of Human Development Shelley Heimel, PhD, bullying was not recognized and studied until the early 1970s. Those born in the 80s and 90s lived in a bullying culture that changed from their parents' experiences. The internet quickly created cyberbullying. Bullies were now able to torment their victims even in the safety of their own homes. Cyberbullying has become popular because it was less detectable by adults. Children born in the 2000s face a harsher reality. As of 2018, Pew Research Center found that 59% of U.S. teens have been bullied online. Cyberbullying has become increasingly more severe with social media taking over the internet. Bullying is now unescapable and therefore completely consuming. Adult intervention is nearly impossible with all the forms of communication children and teens now have. Since it's now clear how quickly bullying has evolved, becoming a huge threat to society and young lives, it is important to become aware of all major forms of modern bullying. According to Simple Acts of Care and Kindness, the most common forms of bullying today are physical, verbal, social, and cyberbullying. Physical bullying often leaves noticeable evidence. It includes physical harm and property damage to intimidate the victim. Commonly, we see verbal bullying. This form of bullying includes name-calling and mocking in order to belittle victims. This form of bullying can be easy to notice when it stands alone, but when it doesn't, it can become tricky. Getting more complicated, social bullying took its hold on our youth. This type of bullying includes social exclusion and mocking, along with rumors. It's often easy to recognize the victims here, but narrowing down the bully can be challenging since this typically includes an instigator and many assistants. The most complicated and popular form of bullying today is cyberbullying. The internet has become so vast that adults often don't catch on to cyberbullying to intervene. This type of bullying is hard to escape, so it can completely consumes its victim. Now let's talk about how bullies are created and how bullying affects young minds. Bullies are not born, they're created. According to Psychology Today, kids who bully tend to have problems throughout their lives related to continuing aggression. Most bullies come from a toxic home environment where they are often the victims of domestic bullying and even abuse. These kids often feel out of control at home and have no safe space. Therefore, they take control where they can get it. This often leads to controlling behavior outside of the home. It usually presents in the form of bullying others. Another environmental effect that has potential to create a bully is bullying itself. Most bullies have been a victim of bullying outside of the home in the past. As a form of protection, victims often evolve into bullies, creating an endless cycle of tragedy. Two of the most problematic effects of bullying are self-esteem issues and suicide. The two often go hand in hand, as low self-esteem can often result in suicide, according to PubMed. The suicide pandemic among adolescents is only increasing, and sadly, bullying is one of the biggest factors in it. Now we are all aware of the evolution of bully culture, modern forms of bullying, and causes and effects of bullying. Bullying is a huge issue in society today, and it is imperative that adults are aware of its forms and impacts. Knowledge is key when it comes to massive societal issues like this one. I hope I was able to provide you a well-rounded, informative speech on this issue. Remember, bullying is an environmental and biological issue. It will never be eradicated, but we can arm ourselves with information so that we can mitigate its effects. Thank you so much for listening.